Let's see here. I hope that I'm going live. One second. Make sure I said this right. All right, everybody. Welcome to this week's edition of Wednesday Live here on the Urban Gardener. I'm your host, Enoch, and I'm really glad to have you all with me here today for this live stream, especially all those who are joining with us live. Get over in the comments section and let us know that you're here, and let us know what you got growing on as well too, if you got any comments or questions or anything. And also all of those of you who are catching up with us on the replay, write it down in the comments section and let us know that you're here. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that for us, please leave those right down below. And also don't forget to hit the thumbs up button and also let us know that you're here. We've got a couple already with us on the live stream today. Looks like I've got Patricia Prim. Hello from Hickman County, Tennessee. All right. Well, thank you for joining us here on our live stream this Wednesday. We do this Wednesday live stream every Wednesday, except for last Wednesday, but every Wednesday at 5 p.m. Pacific time here on the Urban Gardener channel. And we're just here kind of talking about our gardens, talking about gardening, talking about the Urban Gardener channel, just talking about all sorts of different things, whatever really you guys want to talk about too. Like I said, get up in that comment box or live chat box there and let us know that you're here. I see we've got also Susie A. Susie A, nice to see you here with us today. It's a really nice week here in Southern Oregon, and yeah, it's been a really, really nice week. And I was just thinking before the live stream about, I think it was just a couple of weeks ago, we were talking on the live stream about how much I loved Southern Oregon for the fact that it's got like really all of the 4 seasons in it, and I really enjoy that. But I'm telling you right now, I might have to take those words back. I might actually have to. It seems like we went right from the freezing nights, frost, cold, just really too cold to do much of anything, to all of a sudden we've got like, it's looking like it's almost summer out there, and we're expecting the temperature, and it's only to get really nicer in the next week or so too. So I'm really just trying to keep things kind of wet right now because we're not getting the rain, and it's really nice actually. But really like to, as a gardener, to be able to have those seasonal rains and all that sort of stuff. In fact, all of my tulips are just really not liking the fact that it's as hot and nice as it is out right now too, because for them, they just popped up out of the ground, and next thing you know, their flowers are just wilting in the sun. I'm trying to keep them nice and moist and wet and all of that, and some of the beds that I have and all of that, but there's nothing much I can really do about just the difference in the weather. So we'll see what we got coming. Hopefully, it's still just kind of mid-spring, early spring, so we'll probably hopefully have some really decent rains and all of that coming along as well too. And looks like we've got David. Really good to see you, man. Thanks for joining me on this live stream today. He's in here from Toledo, Ohio. Toledo, Ohio. Excellent, excellent. It's really good to see you guys here. And like I said, if you got any questions or anything you want to talk about, let me know what you got growing on. If you have any questions about sort of things what I've got growing on or anything like that, just let me know there. That'll kind of, or if you got any questions for anybody else too, you chat amongst yourselves as well too. You know, really enjoy that about these Wednesday live streams, is be able to get everybody together. We can all just kind of have this this hour or so, hopefully, just kind of talk about gardening and talk about what's going on and or what's growing on in our lives right now, especially as it's like I said, it's still early, kind of mid-spring right now, and we're all probably just really getting started with our seasonal gardening and our seasonal growing. So it's really kind of fun to be able to get together on these weekly chats and talk about that. Let's see, we got a couple of other comments coming in. Let's see here. All right. Well, we got Connor. Thank you for joining us on the live stream. Really appreciate that. Again, everybody, if you're here, hit that thumbs up button too. If you haven't hit the thumbs up yet, there too as well. I'd like to see that number go up. But Connor asks about, well, first he says, loves the channel. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. And first year growing grapes. Any tips getting them growing strong? Cheers, growing from Zone B, Quebec. So right up there in Canada. Zone 4B. Wow, I cut my zone in half right there and get a lot colder. Grapes. I'm not exactly sure what advice I could give you for your zone. I would really encourage you to kind of check into that. There's a lot of great resources on grapes and look into that just a little bit more for your zone. And for me, I got neighbors and friends who grow a lot of grapes, and I've gotten to see them being grown, but I haven't grown them yet myself. But I guess it's a good question for the fact that I'm putting out a video. I think our next video or two, I've got a bunch of them in the works right now, where I'm going to, I planted out a grapevine in the back alleyway of our garden. So we are introducing grapes to the garden. I hope I got a good, it came from some bare root stock that I got. I hope it's good, it's all right. Again, I don't have much experience with growing grapes. And so that's what I'm going to kind of be kind of learning too myself this year. So, for those of you who are kind of interested, another, it's probably, I think I've got one other episode I'm going to be putting out first before the one where we'll talk about the grapes. Or it's going to be in the next one or two episodes. So check it out. We do have grapes that will be growing in the garden this year. So I'm really kind of excited about trying those out. Again, like I said, I've got friends who've got them growing, and got a neighbor who has a really cool kind of different types of grapes all growing in his backyard. And I just really like that and wanted to try that out for myself. And thought maybe it'd work perfect for this part of the garden where we have this fence, and I could kind of train it to grow up and around and all of that as well too. So check that out. And Susie A, what is the small instrument behind me? The instruments, guitar that I got years ago from a friend of mine, and then a small guitar that my father got for my daughter when she was really little. So that was kind of a guitar that she got to kind of learn and play around on when she was younger. Guitar playing is something that's really prevalent in my family, especially my father's side. My dad, my uncles, and a lot of my family members are really good musicians. And so growing up, and even in my adulthood, I picked up the guitar, I picked up other types of instruments as well, and tried to learn them and tried to figure it out. But I've always kind of just not had the ability to carry a tune, really, when it comes down to it, as many times as I've really tried. But I do have the guitars, and I thought they would make a really good display on the wall. Especially with the memory of the smaller guitar too, and my daughter growing up and all of that too as well. So yeah, not going to be busting them up off of the wall and playing any tunes for all of you. I'm sorry about that, but yeah, those that is kind of the story behind those back there as well too. Thanks for the question, Susie. I really appreciate that, and especially bringing up that memory too. Like I said, those are great memories, of her when she was younger playing that and trying to learn how to play the guitar. And looks like we've got Growing Up Garden with us. And let's see here. What's up? And how is your garden going this year? We're in the process of building a garden from scratch at our new house and filming it for my YouTube channel. Excellent, excellent. I totally encourage all of you guys to go check that out too. That would be a really great learning experience for anybody, especially who's probably just getting started in gardening, and probably just doing a similar thing as well too, just getting started from scratch and learned some things about gardening from Kyle and his family over there at Growing Up Garden. So go check out his channel. Go check that out too. I'm really kind of excited about seeing what you guys got growing on there as well too. Really liked. In fact, if you go back into our videos, I've done an interview over at Kyle's house, and we've checked out, or his old place, and checked out all of his really cool urban garden that he had there. Really great use of space, and from what I know that you can do in that space, I'm really excited about seeing what you can do in your new space, in your new home as well too. So I'll be following along as well. So I hope all of you as well will do that too there, because I think that will be a really great idea for people who are just learning how to garden too, and starting from scratch themselves at their homes. Just kind of follow along and go along in that process too. So that's really great. Thanks for joining with us over there at Growing Up Garden. I really appreciate that. Let's see here. Oh, and you did ask about how things are growing. I won't real quick here before we get moving on. You did ask about how things are going on in the garden, and that's kind of, um, I've got so many things going on right now. It's really. Sometimes you get to this point where you're planning out a lot of things, and I want to show you guys a lot of stuff. So I'm trying to film video and make sure that I'm getting certain things covered in the just kind of the process that I want to show you guys of what I'm doing and developing out there in the gardens. I've been growing out in these spaces now for several seasons, and so I've got some ideas and some things and some successes I'm hopefully going to have this season from things I've learned in previous seasons. So hopefully we'll have some really good outcomes. And I've got a lot of things going on too. So to kind of answer your question, a lot of really good things. The garden's going really great, but really busy this time of year with all the different projects that I'm working on right now. So yeah, that's something maybe we'll talk just a little bit more about here in just a little bit too. All right. Okay, so we've got David asking, it was my first time using grow lights and heating mats for my seeds. As of now, 99% success rate. Do you use both together starting your seeds? Um, Quick answer, yes. I'll explain that a little bit more. I do really like, you got some good seeding there, 99%. That's really great. And usually, if you're getting some really good new seed and all of that, you should have some really good high germination rates. But yeah, heating mats for my seeds. I use them to get like tomatoes, peppers, and what else do we use? Eggplant too. So I've got some eggplant starts and that sort of stuff. Those really warm season type plants that that are gonna really need that heat to really get started. A lot of the other stuff that I've got going, I just kind of let go. I just kind of seed out most of like the like say cucumbers, the other warmer stuff, and the squash and melons and things like that that I'll be growing out. I get those started outside, outdoors, other than indoors, and I just kind of let the sun and everything else kind of work its magic and do its deal, and usually get pretty good results from just doing that. So ultimately, the heating mat I do just use for those. Other things I'm not too sure. Every time I try a heating mat with anything other than those sort of things, I end up getting really leggy starts, and so I just I've just kind of been settling with doing a lot of that stuff outdoors. My cooler crops and the warmer crops I just get started a little bit later. I've got a couple of small little greenhouse things, plus a carport, which kind of helps with some of the frost danger that I might possibly have before my last frost day coming up, that I will plant out some of those warmer season crops. But yeah, definitely use heating mats though too. I do use those, and they help a lot when it comes to especially peppers. Peppers are really, they will take their time. If you don't have some sort of heating source to warm those seeds up, peppers seem to take quite a while too. And I also recommend too just soaking seeds overnight too, kind of, especially like pepper plants and seeds that are just a little bit bigger. I always kind of soak those as well too, to just kind of get that shell just a little bit soft, kind of get that moisture in there just a little bit faster. And then, like I said, other things like eggplants and that. I think. Oh, also I did use the heating mat with some of the loofah that I'm growing this year too, because I'm trying out loofah vines. We talked about that in the last live stream too, so we'll kind of check those out and see how that works out later in the season as well. And Susie, I'm in the middle of re-landscaping in the backyard. Raised beds. Oh wow, that sounds like a really great fun project. 8 raised beds, huh, Susie? That's going to be really nice. So you know, and like you were mentioning too, your backyard's a mud pit. My front yard right now too, and you'll see this in an upcoming episode as well too, that I'm going to be showing. In fact, my front yard, I've had a lot of work because of some of the plumbing issues that I've had in my place. The owners had to do a lot of work out in the front yard, so I know exactly what you're talking about when it comes to just having something that looks like a complete mess. And right now, everything's just coming together. We got some new grass and things like that growing in to kind of make things back to a nicer front yard like it used to be. But it's kind of nice though when you see something go from that to something really nice. And one of the things you'll see when I talk about it in that video is that I would really prefer to have raised beds up in my front yard, but I do rent my place and I don't own my home, so I don't have that opportunity to be able to do that. But when it was all tore up, that's exactly what I thought. How nice it would be to be able to just build some raised beds all across this front yard and just turn the whole front yard into a more growing space. But as I just mentioned and talked about how much I've got growing on already with the space I have, I don't know really what I would do with myself with all of that extra work that would have to be done in a front yard garden as well too. But maybe I would just invite some neighbors and some people over to help grow some things and let them kind of do a community garden or something like that. If it was my own place, something like that I would do, because it would just be too hard for me to resist if it was my own place to actually putting beds out there instead of grass. Let's see here. David says, thanks for the advice. I love this channel. Oh, well, thanks, man. I really appreciate you guys with all of your great compliments about the Urban Gardener and the channel here. It's really awesome to have you guys here and joining in with the conversation with me here on our live Wednesday live stream. And having you guys here and a part of all of this and a part of the channel is what makes all of this so worth every bit of it. To be able to you know, have conversations or be able to discuss gardening or share my gardening with you guys is just really a pleasure for me. And you know, even though it is just a little bit of work, you know, you got to, you know, bring the camera out there, you've got to do shots, I've got to get in and edit, which is the next thing I was going to mention about the channel and all of that. Is I do have, like I said, a bunch of different episodes in the pipeline coming out. I'm trying to get myself back onto that regular schedule that I wanted. I mean, I even put it up on the header of the channel, you know, episodes every Sunday, and I was just kind of having some problems getting certain things edited and done right to get on that. But I think right now, I think I have the content that I need to be able to start really getting on top of that schedule. In fact, I think I have probably enough content to do that and have extra episodes and extra content like those garden minutes that we're doing. I've got a bunch of those in works right now as well, and some of those top 10s that I'm trying out as well too, and we'll see where that goes. So again, also with like the top 10s or garden minutes or anything, just the real quick things, or top 10 lists. If you have any suggestions or anything like that, get down in the comments section below and let me know about some of the suggestions that you have. You know, I really like to be able to, you know, do some videos, do some things that you guys yourselves would really like to see. You know, so really interested in being able to provide that sort of content that you guys would really look forward to seeing as well too. But again, really appreciate the great compliments, David, and you know, it's really great to be able to do this channel with all of you. Looks like we've got Nancy. She's here. All right, able to join with us, Nancy. It's good to have you here. Good to see you. Um, Hopefully, everything's working out with your computer just right, and you're able to catch everything here on our live stream. It's great to have you here. Let us know if you got any questions, or anybody else if you got any questions. Kind of just really like everybody's just great today, man. It really helps just keep the conversation moving along. You know, a lot of this too, I found, and I'll just kind of mention this as well, real quick. I've done several of these. I think I counted up, maybe 30, 40 live streams already. And, a lot of times I would write down a list of different ideas and things I wanted to talk about and all of that. I do that sometimes. And, I find that every time I do that, I end up just totally messing everything up. I lose track of what I'm talking about and all of that. And I kind of have a better time doing these live streams when I just kind of turn on the camera and kind of let things go and follow along the conversation with all of you guys who are joining with me here on our live stream too. And also, really great to have all of you who are joining on the replay as well, following along with our conversation that we've had here. And again, like I said, down in the comment section if you got anything you'd like to share with us. And let's see. Growing Up Garden asks, do you know if the Heirloom Expo will be this year? And I can tell you for sure from what I heard through, and I believe they do have it now announced on their website as well too, but in conversations, in talking with them, because I've been trying to work on a project at the Heirloom Expo for myself that I've been talking with Jerry Gettle over at Baker Creek Heirloom Seed Company about. He really likes the idea. I really want to develop it and try to make it happen for this next upcoming, which was supposed to be last year. Which is kind of good because I'll get some extra time to be able to work on and develop this project just a little bit more. But it's not going to be happening this year. They're going to go ahead and wait for the National Heirloom Expo for 2022. So it'll be the 10th National Heirloom Exposition. It was going to be really, like I said, it was going to be really fun. We were really looking forward to last year. It was going to be the 10th anniversary, 10th annual. I guess it's not an annual now, missing a couple of seasons, but it's the 10th anniversary, though, still of the National Heirloom Exposition. Really great, fun exposition. So all of you gardeners who follow this channel, you can check out some of our videos that we've done and some of the visits in the past few years. You can check out Kyle, who from Growing Up Garden, who visited with us and had a bit of conversation with us. In fact, he's one of the few guests that we've had here on our live stream. I think we've only had 4 guests. That would be Wendy Fan and Kyle from Growing Up Garden on the live stream we did at the National Heirloom Exposition, and then Christopher Bransdahl from Norway and Kang Starr from down in Texas joined me in our first day of spring live stream that we did a couple of weeks back. If you haven't had a chance to check out that live stream or the live stream we did at that National Heirloom Exposition, you can go back to our past live streams. It's on our front page, the YouTube page of our channel there, and check out those live streams as well. They were really great, fun conversations. It's kind of cool when you can get somebody on there, on with you, and to be able to have that conversation. But again, about the National Heirloom Exposition, it's a real bummer that it's not going to be happening this year. We would like to have been able to go. It's just such a fun event, and a great place for people who are just really into gardening, kind of like we all are here on this channel. Kyle said, or he says bummer. So yeah, that's absolutely right. It is a bummer. But for all of you who are tuning in and thinking about it yourselves, maybe it gives you all enough time to be able to plan ahead for 2022 and come join me down at the National Heirloom Exposition in 2022. So that would be a great meetup for all of us in the channel and all of that. And we can plan way ahead for all of that as well too. So that too, plus the project that I'm talking about that I'm in the works of doing. I'll share a lot more about that as we get going into this next season, and we get some of those things kind of really solidified and figured out. So it'll be really fun. I'm really looking forward to that. All right, let's see. Nancy says your expo vids are almost like being there. It's sad it's not happening this year. Yes, absolutely. And thanks again. I really do. And that's one of the things too. When I first started this channel, I had the idea I wanted, it was going to be like, I want to show people what I do in my kind of unique small space gardening spaces that I have. For those of you who might not have seen or know yet, but I grow in an alleyway, and I've grown up on a carport rooftop. I have a cement patio, so we use some garden boxes and things, and all different sorts of things that we use. So, the water wicking buckets that we feature. A lot of you who are watching our channel have joined us because of that water wicking video, our water wicking bucket video that we have. And so I wanted to show some of those things that I was doing, and kind of take people along. And at the time, I also had a community garden plot as well too. So I figured, how fun would it be? I'll show people my gardening and all of that, and then we'll go to the National Heirloom Exposition at the end of the year. And then I ended up doing another couple of stops before that, and they just kind of happened on a trip that I went on up north to Seattle. And then I was just like, it just kind of opened up this whole other idea of what this channel could be and what it could be about. And so getting to do those National Heirloom Exposition videos was really fun, to be able to go see how I could cover that and be able to bring that to all of you who watch these videos. And it's really good to hear that everybody, gets that feeling like that, it's like being there as well too. Plus, we also do like at the exposition, they have all of these really great different varieties of squash and melons and all these things on all these tables in this big exhibition hall. And I like to be able to go through that and kind of take you guys through almost like a live type of table to table look at everything that's growing on there. And so those things are really fun. And also too, if people have watched John Kohler's channel, John has become a really good friend of mine over the last couple of seasons as well. I met him at that first Heirloom Expo that I went to. And then the next couple after that, I actually helped John film his videos for the National Heirloom Exposition. So if you watch any of his videos on that, I'm the one who's behind the camera who's helping film that for him as well too. So, really fun event. Nancy. I love it. That's the one great thing, Nancy, too. And I'm just gonna kind of let people in on it just for a moment. Nancy's followed my channel since like the very beginning, and every time I've got something coming up, or I'm talking about doing something, or I mention something, say on Facebook, she's always, "What are you gonna do? Sneak peek. I want to know. I want to know." But I'm gonna keep that one on the down low for right now until I kind of get some of the real final details of it worked out and all of that, because I'd hate to kind of like really, present the idea or even kind of give a hint of the idea of what it's all about, and then kind of have everything fall apart, and then all of that sort of stuff. So in some sense, maybe even the idea of jinxing it, I just I think it's probably best we kind of wait on it, but in the sense of looking forward to the upcoming seasons and all of that. I do have some really great big plans, things that I've been working on, and certain things and projects that I've been working on for actually the last couple of years. I mean, COVID really kind of kicked everything really back a lot, when it came to some of the things that we're doing here on the channel. Even up to this year, last year and this year, I had big projects planned for these years, and some really cool stuff. But you know what? It is what it is, and we're just kind of riding along and doing the best we can with things. And I'm, hopefully going to be able to present some of these really fun projects here on this channel in in these upcoming seasons. And so, like I said, for all of those of you who are just following along, look forward to some really cool things. Trust me, it's going to be great. All right. David asks, do you save your rainwater? He says, I do. And I'm going to say, yes, actually, I do save rainwater. I have rainwater catchment system. I have video on that as well, too. If I think about it after this live stream's up, I'll put a link down below in the description for that rainwater video as well, too. Or you could go check out the past videos on our video page here on YouTube as well. But I did set up a couple of I used trash cans and kind of stacked them up and kind of linked them and kind of set them up right off of my rain spout, off of my gutter system here. And I save rainwater the best I can. With the amount that I'm able to catch, it only really kind of lasts me for so long as well, though, too. But I also utilize those catchment containers for holding water that I just kind of let from city water too. So I kind of constantly keep it going as well throughout the season, in the summer season too. But it's not, I run out of the rainwater after a couple of months here. It just really, really dries up in my area of Southern Oregon, and I think, it's probably late May, maybe early June. I might get a little sprinkle, and then after that, there's no rain until late September, if I'm lucky, and everything really dries up. So, but I do try to use rainwater. I encourage people to have rainwater systems, and if you have the ability to have bigger catchment systems, so that you can really keep a good supply of water for your gardens, and do that. It's a really good idea, and a lot of people believe that this is illegal. And to tell you the truth, in my research that I've done, this is legal most everywhere, actually, unless, of course, you've got maybe some sort of small community type ordinances, or or I'm not saying that right, but homeowners associations, HOAs. You have those sort of rules and guidelines for your community and all of that. Maybe that you possibly have some of those restrictions, but as far as like most cities, most counties, states, and all of that across the country, rainwater catchment's legal. And if you want to do that, it's a really great idea to be able to, kind of save on water usage, especially in drier areas. I just kind of wish I had a bigger setup for that. But yeah, let's see here. He says, I'll check it out. Thank you. He says, I notice my plants love rainwater more than the city water, and that's absolutely true. City water, I do have a couple of my spouts that I use for when I'm doing overhead watering for parts of my garden. I have hooked up to water filters. I've gotten a couple of water filters through a friend of mine. Um, it's got a company called Boogie Brew. He's a friend of John Kohler's as well. Josh Cummings down there at Boogie Brew has given me a couple of these water filters I have. Plus, I've also used, if you check the RV section of like your big box stores, they usually got the inline, in-hose water filters that really kind of help break down some of those chlorines and those sort of things that are in the water. That's really just kind of makes that city water really kind of tough on your garden. Your garden's going to grow. It's just a lot of some of those organisms and a lot of those sort of things that really make your soil alive, and a lot of those sort of things like that are just kind of really, I guess you could say, bleached out of city water through some of those chlorines and chloramines that they put in there to really make water safe for drinking for a lot of people. But it is really, it doesn't do the optimal for your garden as rainwater does. I mean, rainwater's got all those great minerals and all those sort of things associated with it. And I always notice, and I'm sure everybody who's had a garden or growing things outside, how much the garden just kind of peaks up and grows. It seems like everything grows a couple of inches, gets just a little bit darker, greener every time you get a good rain on your garden, and that's very true. And let's see here. Are you going to use mosquito dunks? Mosquito, and here's the thing, and I'll say something about those in a sense. I don't want to use those, and if it gets to the point, and that's the thing, that's something you want to be aware of. Standing water, especially with rain catchment systems and that sort of stuff. If you're not using the water, you don't want to keep it standing. You don't want to allow for enough time for mosquito larvae and all of that sort of stuff to develop. And in my sense of just, I'm not too sure about those mosquito things that they have that you can add and apply to your water. I've never really tried them, or just something about them I'm not too sure about ultimately. So being aware of the idea that mosquitoes could possibly develop in my tanks, I'm just constantly trying to cycle through that water as much as I can, and I'm not allowing it to sit. And that's the biggest thing. Just don't allow for your water to sit too long. And I'm not sure exactly, without doing any direct research right now, how long you do want to wait. So I'd encourage anybody who does have rainwater catchment systems or some sort of open set system where that you can get a lot of that mosquito and those sort of things growing inside of your water catchment systems if it's left standing. And that's usually if it's left standing. If you're using it and you're cycling through your water, and especially if you're in places where you're getting good cycling of water, you shouldn't have problems with mosquitoes and that sort of thing. So but if you do, you could do some research though to give an idea about how often you should be using and cycling through your water in order to make sure that you're not allowing it to stand for too long. It's just a good idea there with it when it comes to rain barrels. Yes, he says that she gets never enough rainwater though, but it helps. Yeah, I know, and that's just kind of the thing. I wish I could have a larger system, but also too, mine are kind of like more of like an open top type of setup. I can close the tops, like the one sits on the other one, so it's kind of closed there. But I can open them up enough to where they're getting some sort of air circulation. And again, like I said, I'm not letting them stand too long. But again, I don't get enough to keeping water in them. So I'll fill them up again with city water so that I can kind of let that chlorine and chloramines and things like that drip off, and I can just use that water through that system as well. Because I just have a lot of things right in that area that catchment system works really well for, that I don't have to have like the hose set up and all of that. Even though it has a hose attachment, I could kind of set up to water and that. But it just kind of works for that small area right there. And then in the other areas that I have to take hoses out to for other parts of the garden, those ones I have hooked up to those water filtration setups too. So yeah, inline hose water filters, and I do have. Maybe I'll try to put a link down below too if I can make a good mental note of it. And if I don't, somebody can get in the comments section below and remind me that I didn't. But I could put a link for anybody to any of those sort of filters if you're looking into that as well. Sam says, I know I don't know what's in them, and you're referring to the mosquito dump things too, and that's just kind of the thing. I don't necessarily know either, and I just, I'm going through the extra steps it takes to try to filter out those chloramines and those things from my city water and all of that, or to get the water to do at least that much for the soil that I'm growing all of my food in and all of that. So if I'm going through that extra step, I don't want to kind of maybe put something in that I'm not too sure about, which I don't know exactly what it's going to be doing. All those cool little that microbiome, microorganisms and micronutrients and all these things that are working together, the fungi and things that are going on inside of your soil. Those we want our soil to be completely alive, in there, so that they're all doing their parts, so that we get really great root systems. Great soil doing that's really alive. And if you've checked out the soil food web, it just really gives all of those essential things that roots need to just really thrive. And when your roots are thriving, your plants are going to be thriving. And if your plants are thriving, you're hopefully getting some really great fruiting and getting some really good results from all of your plants, and getting really great food in the long run. Let's see here. I planted a tree. Planted an emerald green arborvitae. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right. Yeah, I actually have a couple of those type of evergreen variety things that and just walks around the neighborhood. Someone has this really cool one, so I just kind of like snip off a little part, in the back of one, and stick it in some sand and get it to root out. So I've got like a few that I've actually rooted out from growings that I've taken off a couple of different arborvitaes that are growing in my local neighborhood. So I've got a couple of them that are growing in pots, and kind of really give some really nice accent to the vegetable and food garden that I've got. So I have a few of those in containers, growing around as well too. So having those cool little evergreens are really neat. But if you're growing them in the ground and putting them in the ground, and you've got spaces for that in your own place, then those are really cool. I like arborvitaes, especially you got the ones that are just really cone shaped and grow really tall. I have a neighbor that's about 3-4 blocks or so away from me that has like a row of them, like 5 or 6 of them, that are just really tall and just really cool, really shaped, really neat, and just really cool looking. So um, if I had my own place, I'd probably grow something like that as well too. I really like those. How do you go about sourcing your compost? Growing a garden asks, how do I go about sourcing my compost? What soil amendments am I using in the garden? Okay, well, um, good question too. It also gives me a opportunity to talk about our last video as well. Um, but sourcing my compost and all of that, I've tried and have a couple of different spots where I've kind of tried doing some of my own compost systems, but haven't been able to work them quite well enough the way I've wanted to be able to maybe make a video about them, to share them, because I don't think I've really kind of got it down yet when it comes to that. But I've tried that a little bit as far as on my own. And then for the most part, when it comes to soil, other than sourcing from a local soil company that I sourced from a couple of seasons back, I usually try to get as much local compost in bags that I can, because I think in some sense for my videos and in small space gardening and all of that, I'm trying to kind of source things that people themselves can kind of source in some of these smaller space urban type of situations, and mix soils and make soil mixes out of those sort of things, versus having to say order soil from someone, which I at times can use like a yard of soil, but you got to order sometimes from these places, especially if you need delivery. Way too much soil that most people will actually be able to use. So a lot of I purposely do a lot of those type of soil mixes so that I can make some of those and have some of those and know that they work really well for people that are growing in those sort of similar situations that I'm sharing with on the channel. But growing and getting compost is always best to find a really good company locally who's you know composting themselves and putting together some really good local compost. Having some of that local stuff has really good outcomes in some of your gardens and all of that as well. And what are you doing? How are you doing? You want to come say hi real quick? Oh, it's Dexter. Dexter, just thought he'd come by and say hi. How you doing, bud? Dexter's always so mellow. He's always so mellow and easygoing. We've never had such an easygoing cat before. Here, I'll let you go, bud. But yeah, try to find and source some local compost, locally done compost, if you are trying to get really bulk amounts. In fact, I think one of our viewers earlier was mentioning putting together 8 raised beds in their backyard or in their growing space. And that's when you're going to want to order probably some truckloads of compost and soil at that point in time. And then you're just going to want to find somebody who's got some really good locally sourced stuff. Oh, and also, yes, transition to our last video, because you were talking about amendments. Our last video, I featured it's a dry organic fertilizer. It's a no-kill fertilizer from Johnny Appleseed Organic. And mind you, again, I'll say this, as well as what I said in the video too, is that they're not paying me. They're not sponsoring the video or anything like that, but they did send me a really nice amount of a sample batch of their organic fertilizer that they're developing right now, and to try out in the gardens. And so that's what I'm using this year. I'm going to be trying that around in the gardens. You usually use just a regular, like whether it's Job's or I think there's like Walmart's Expert Organics, but I'm looking for a dry organic type of fertilizer that I just utilize and spread around the gardens. Usually like at the very beginning of the season, just pretty much scratching it into the first couple of inches of soil. I don't try to disturb the soil much more than those first couple of inches. Even when it comes to my containers that I'm growing in from year to year as well, just kind of scratch it in to the first couple of inches. And then I do that maybe once every like 6 weeks, 6 weeks or so into the growing season until everything's pretty much fruited. And at that point, then I just kind of let things go into the winter season at that point in time. So that's what I utilize as far as my soil amendments, and this year we're utilizing that one just so I can see and give them a proper review from our channel about it, and be able to see how well that works for us. I find that just utilizing that, just a simple dry organic fertilizer works pretty well as far as soil amendments go. And then the only other thing that I do pretty consistently, as far as you could say amendment in a way, or fertilization in a way, is compost tea. So I do make compost tea, and I'll foliar feed and basically feed from the top down in most of our containers. Some of our worm teas, I'll make some worm teas, compost teas, just simple things like that. Or again, as I mentioned, I got those filters from Boogie Brew, which is Josh Cunning's company, and he does compost tea, and it's just high powered, really high octane compost tea. If you want to be really growing at that sort of level, like John Kohler and a lot of people who want some really great outcomes with their vegetable gardens and their food gardens and whatever type of gardens you're growing, his compost tea is really great. So if you wanted to check that out too, maybe again, another one I'll try to mentally remember to put a link down in the description below if I can. But if not, I'm sure I'll be mentioning some of that in upcoming episodes, because I'll be talking about compost tea in some upcoming episodes as well too. Blah, 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 blah. Just yapping and yapping away, and I'm starting to fumble over my lips here. I don't know. We're 5:51, so we're almost approaching an hour. We'll just see how things go here, how the chat goes. And if you see everything shaking there, that's the cats. They're having fun. They're playing around with each other right now, running around underneath everything. They're 2 young boy cats, so they just love to run tracks all over the place here. and chase each other and get after each other. Sometimes you gotta wonder, are they really like trying to kill each other? But they're cats. Most of the time, no matter what kind of noises they're making, they're just pretty much doing their thing as cats with each other. Let's see here. Let me try to catch up on some of these comments. Uh, beds won't be available here until Oh, you're talking, okay. Granny Sam's mentioned Mark in Australia. Mark from Self Sufficient Me, the channel over in Australia. If you haven't checked out Mark's channel, it's Self Sufficient Me too. Got to check him out, man. He's got a great channel. It's over in Australia, so he's got a growing season that's going on during our winter time up here in the northern hemisphere. So he's really fun to follow along with what he's doing in his gardens. And Granny Sam was mentioning that he puts wood inside of his gardening beds, and he has these big, like galvanized type steel beds. And I don't know if you've seen these. They're kind of like when I go to like the Grange, one of the Grange places that I have, they have like little baby chickens, little chicks inside these big type of things with the heat lamps. And so he's using these big things to grow in his garden. In fact, I think his are even taller. And but that's a lot of soil if you think about it. If you wanted to fill one of those things up, and when it comes down to it, most roots and are really only going to need some good solid soil of I say good 10 to 12 inches is probably the minimum you're going to want in a raised bed. But if you have one of these deep beds, you could do kind of like what she's talking about with what Mark does on his channel, and put logs and wood in there and really fill up a good amount of that top part of the, or the bottom, what would be the bottom part of the beds there, those containers basically, and then just fill the soil in and let the soil fall into all the cracks, and then top it all off with all of your soil. So it takes up a lot of space, but also that wood and those logs are just going to decompose and break down over time. Mind you, I think he broke into his after several years to see what was going on, and I think he did a whole video where he went in and showed you what had happened over several years of growing inside of one of those. And when you put in big logs and big chunks of wood like that, they're going to take many, many years, probably into the 20s and 30 years in order to really, truly break down completely. Maybe even longer than that when you're talking about real solid logs and wood and all that. But it doesn't mean that you're not getting really a great benefit from what that is called. I think it's called hugelkultur. Hugelkultur. The benefit that you're getting from the breakdown of all of that while it's going down, and as that's happening, a lot of those things that you're growing from the top that have those deep roots are finding all of that, and they're getting all of that activity that's happening down there, and those roots are really getting the benefit of all of that stuff that's happening in the breakdown of that matter down below there too. So that's a really great idea for really deep beds. Now say you have something that's built, so you're wanting to have something that's kind of waist high, but you're doing it from the ground up, and you have, like whether it's wood or one of those steel type of things, it's a great idea to do to fill up there and take up some of that space to not only need less soil, but also have some really great, soil biological activity going on in years to come inside of your garden bed. Let's see here. Nancy says that she has a large garbage can that she does compost tea with as well too. Yep. And and you can do just a simple like stir it up every now and then type of compost tea, with worm castings and all of that. You can, whether you do it in just all sorts of way to make some really good just compost tea that you can use for. I prefer to not really mix things and do that sort of stuff. I try to use like the bag type of thing so that I can keep all of that kind of filtered from the water so that I can spray it as a foliar feed to most of the plants, so, and then let it kind of drain on down into the soil from there and kind of do its fertilizing in that part. But yeah, all sorts of great ways of doing compost tea. So we'll be doing a video and talking a lot about that in the coming weeks as well here on the channel. So look forward to some of those as well. Patricia Prim is talking about Tennessee is a beautiful state and mentioning Kay Cottrell. And I don't know if you came over here to the live stream after Kay Cottrell's live stream earlier, but I got on there and was catching some of her live stream. Kay is a great friend of mine. She's been really awesome for this channel and everything from the very beginning. My first trips down to Los Angeles, you know, it was just one of those things. I was like, I don't know if I just messenger and she, well, actually I first met her at the National Heirloom Expo, to bring that back up, but ultimately reached out to her, you know, and really met her when it came to going down to Los Angeles and getting a chance to see what she had, this really amazing front yard urban garden in the Palisades down in Los Angeles, California. There's really beautiful neighborhoods up there, and you know, you got all these beautiful, really cool houses and all of that, and then you come to Kay's house there on the block, and it's just this, in my eye, it's just this beautiful, lush. I mean, she had utilized space in such amazing ways and all of that to make this wonderful, like, food forest front yard garden that she had there. And then, you know, certain things happened in life for her and things had to change, and she ended up moving to an apartment for a short period of time, and then ultimately moved over there to Tennessee, where she's got herself a homestead all set up, and she's getting ready to be gardening some raised beds and doing all sorts of cool, fun gardening projects that she does. She's just a really fun gardener. She has a really great channel. She does a lot of really fun live streams as well. For those of you who like some of these gardening live streams, I encourage you to go check out Kay Cottrell's channel and go check out some of her live streams. She's always, like, she could be popping up at almost any time doing live streams. So she's really great resource for those of you who are learning gardening, especially those of you who are you know, a little bit older, hence the name Late Bloomers. That's the name of her channel, was the Late Bloomer. Used to be Urban Organic Gardening Channel or something like that, but she shortened it down to just Late Bloomers, and just a really great gardening channel. Again, I encourage you all to go check that out too. And let's see here. Ray says she's smart. She is. She's very smart. Um, let's see. Yes, hugelculture. Yep, hugelculture. What we were talking about with the wood logs inside of the raised beds. Um, David says he uses the hugelculture method. Yeah, and Grown Up Garden has used hugelculture as well. Yeah. Yeah, I think that's just a really great idea. I don't have anything quite yet deep enough or anything that I've set up to where I've had the ability to try that out myself. But someday maybe I'll have a nice backyard garden or a big like homestead type of garden or something like that, and I'll be able to experiment and try with that sort of stuff too myself. But yeah, I think that, you know, the science behind all of that stuff just really makes a lot of sense when it comes to long-term growing in those sort of containers. I'm from Tucson, moved to Missouri. Oh, yeah. And then Grant says, you're smart too. Well, thanks. I appreciate that. Smart too. I try to learn as much as I can. I really enjoy gardening more so than what it originally started out as kind of a hobby. I tell the story about how, the light bulb came on when I grew some cucumbers, and I've grown house plants since I was a young kid. My mother grew house plants and all of that. I just really love gardening. And but when I learned and figured out that to grow my own food in small spaces and all of that, that's when I just kind of really, my love for gardening just kind of took off. And I just started, digging in and wanting to learn all sorts of different things in order to make best use of the spaces that I have around in my gardens and all of that. Oh, 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 can't get up there. I don't need you jumping up onto the keyboard. Dexter wanted to jump onto the keyboard there almost. But yeah, so all of that was just led to just little bits and pieces of information that I have that I love sharing with everybody about these little things that I'm learning and figuring out as well. And I think that's kind of one of the things that makes kind of following a channel like this, a little bit more fun. I've always enjoyed just those channels that were developing and working on things and going through things, that sort of stuff, because I was learning along with them, more so than, I do like getting definitive information from a lot of those other really great channels out there, from a lot of great teachers. There's some really great garden teachers out there with some really great channels. But when you got channels like, say, Kay's channel, or what Growing Up Gardens doing with their new space and all of that, and you're able to follow someone just really developing and putting something together and learning along with them, that's really, really a fun type of experience. And ones that, like I said, I've really enjoyed on YouTube. And let's see here. I have to leave. Thanks for the company and the chat. Well, thanks for joining us. Hopefully, you get you haven't left already, but thanks for joining us, Granny Sam. It's good to see you again for the live chat. And I see that we are now just over an hour, and so I might be winding this down here real soon myself. So unless anybody's got any questions or anything else that they might want to talk about, and we could kind of chat about a little bit here, or like I said, we'll get moving on. I still got a million things that I've got to take advantage of the rest of the light this evening to get done, so that I can make and start setting up some videos and some filming that I want to do tomorrow as well, so that I can start putting out some really fun episodes that we've got going on here. So look forward to that too. A couple of really cool things that we'll be talking about. Just I'll mention that I think we're going to be talking about container fruit trees. We've got some talking about that, some things that I've kind of been learning about and figuring about. So some things that I want to share when it comes to container fruit trees. So look forward to that episode. We're still sowing a lot of stuff in the back patio gardens. I'm still putting together and seeding for a lot of our warmer weather crops that we're going to be planting out in the back alleyway spaces, and a lot of the other alleyway spaces too that we'll be putting out videos. Also, of course, container potatoes. How can we go a year or a season here on the Urban Gardener without making another attempt at container potatoes? I've got this idea I've been wanting to try over the last season or two. Like I said, last year, just everything was terrible last year, so I didn't really get around to trying and putting together this idea. So we'll be doing that this year and seeing how well that works for us in the container potatoes. But we've got a lot of really fun, cool stuff that we'll be doing. And again, like I was mentioning earlier too, if you're with us right now, and you have any ideas for episodes or videos or things that you might want to see from the garden, questions or things like that, that would make a really good video that you would like to see, let me know. Get down in the comment section below and let me know if you've got any sort of videos you might like to see. So I'd love to put together some things that you guys might be interested in as well. Because a lot of this, I'm just putting together what I'm kind of interested in, or ideas that I've got going on too, So, a lot of this is I like to say, building a garden community. That's one thing about this channel and the mission of my channel, and what I've been doing with gardening and being in the gardening social media community, is developing more of the community, like you see throughout this live stream. I love shouting out other channels. I love talking with other channels and featuring them on my channel. I think that there's just a lot of great information, whether you're getting great garden teachers, like I mentioned earlier, or you're just getting a great learning experience from someone who's just learning. I think Dexter wants, he's talking a lot right now, so that might be our cue to actually head out here. But, again, I just really, really love doing this channel with all of you guys. I really enjoy having this opportunity each Wednesday here on Live Wednesday Gardening Chat to talk with you. Oh, and you know what? I didn't even mention the whole time. I ended up putting it right on the title right before we got started with this live stream, but it's I guess National Gardening Day. I didn't even know this. I had a friend on Facebook, just a little bit before I was getting on to do and set up the live stream, posted that on there, and I looked it up, and sure enough, by some sort of thing, I think back in 2018, it was designated the 14th of April as National Gardening Day here. So, um, yeah, so happy National Gardening Day, everybody. And I'm, again, really glad that you all stopped by to join with me for this live stream here. And all of you who joined in the chat with us, whether, you know, you asked any questions or contributed with talking with each other about gardening and all that sort of stuff. I really appreciate that. It's been really fun again. And real quick here, let's see. Oh, David, real quick, asked what kind of hot peppers am I growing? So we'll kind of end with that question there. What kind of hot peppers am I growing? I've got, let's see, I don't know if I can really name exactly the hot peppers. And I will tell you, look forward to, it's going to be in one of our next upcoming episodes. I will be talking more about the different varieties of actual peppers that we have. I did do that live stream probably about a month or so ago when we seeded out our peppers, and I talked about some of the varieties. There were a few that didn't necessarily work out as well, in germination and all of that, but I do have a lot of really great varieties growing. So like I said, I'm trying to think. I've got some from Kang Star sent me some really good um, peppers from his collection. I got some from a guy in Italy named Drax Diego, which I have to say that the starts that I've gotten from him, the that have come up, are just amazing looking plants. So I'm really looking forward to some of those. So again, in a couple episodes, I'm going to be transplanting those from our light station into a setup that I have here for. I put them in these party cups method I got from Kang Star years ago. Works really well, and they'll be under some. I've just got some new LED lights, so I'm really excited about trying out these new LED lights that I'll show you guys in that video when I set them up. In well, they'll be actually right here, right in this space right here. Probably in our next live stream, they'll probably be right here, and and then they'll sit there until after last frost, when we'll put them out into the garden spaces where they'll grow in our I've got a pepper garden area. It's a pepper kind of box thing I built where they can grow in our water wicking buckets, and I also have them growing in different parts of the garden, and I'll be isolating actually a couple of varieties that I want to save seed from this next season, and I'll be isolating some of those up front of our alleyway this year too, so that they won't be anywhere near all of our other peppers growing, and I can hopefully be able to count on the seed that I get next year, and hopefully be able to have some seed that I might be sharing to a few lucky viewers and subscribers later in the season when we save some seeds. So yeah, look forward to that coming up in an episode. Thanks for the question, David. Thanks for joining us. Thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Granny Sam and Kyle and your family there, Growing Up Garden. All of you who have joined us in this conversation. It's been a really great conversation this week. Really, really had fun. And again, as David says, happy National Gardening Day to all of you out there. And look forward to seeing you guys next week, next Wednesday, 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time, and we'll have another great gardening conversation. Thank you.